welcome to a journey into the heart of creativity. We're starting things off with a bang by sharing one of Jamie Flatter's favorite jokes by the legendary stand-up comedian, Mitch Hedberg. Mitch was a comedic genius who, tragically, passed away in his New Jersey hotel room in 2005 from a drug overdose. Despite his untimely death, his humor continues to inspire audiences to this day. And, as you'll see, this particular joke holds a brilliant connection to the topic of today's video, making Jamie Flatters a genius in his own right. So, without further ado, here's the joke. I wrote a script and gave it to a guy who reads scripts, and he read it, and he liked it, but he said he thinks I ought to rewrite it. I said, fuck that, I'll just make a copy. Sometimes the world can be blind to the incredible ways creativity interacts with the natural world, but Mitch Hedberg cured that with this perfect joke. Now over to our amazingly empathetic host, Jamie Flatters. Scene 1.
Okay, our second cousin. Explain the conversation. Jamie 1. Well, that's me. The poet and author David Whyte coined the phrase, the conversational nature of reality. This phrase is used to help acknowledge that our subjective relationship with the objective world is forever changing. Therefore, it's best to think of our relationship with the world as an ongoing conversation. This analogy allows us to understand that reality is not fixed, but is rather a product of ongoing conversation between our inner and outer experiences, our perceptions, and the way we describe our experiences to ourselves and to each other through language that we use. David Whyte says in his own words, I began to realize that my identity depended not upon any beliefs I had, inherited beliefs or manufactured beliefs, but my identity actually depended on how much attention I was paying to things that were other than myself. And that as you deepen this intentionality and this attention, you start to broaden and deepen your own sense of presence. For me, there is no better tool in life to help you pay attention to things other than you than creativity.
Is creativity.
Agreed, the crux is creativity. You'll always be part of the conversation, but creativity allows you to interact with more than you'll ever be.
Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you. We're now taking questions. No? Okay, just move on to the next scene. For sure. Creativity is the catalyst to this conversation being positive, fruitful, and forever changing, making your life and the idea that is your life always exciting. The ability to engage in meaningful and creative conversations is the key aspect of personal growth and development. Through this dialogue, we can gain a deeper understanding of our experiences, expand our perspectives, and shape the world that is around us. I'm sure we've all had moments when the conversation is stuck, when you and the other person are lost for a new topic and can't transcend the awkwardness of a failed moment of communication. Well, whether it's a conversation with somebody else or the conversation you have with yourself, the ability to create a new successful thought process becomes key to escaping negative emotion. But this ability is something we all had as children, but it's what society, or call it social standards, made you lose. It is very simply the ability to play. With yourself, no, not with yourself. Scene 3.
Play allows change. The ability to play is the best gift acting ever gave me. To be able to transcend who you are, and to immediately drop all ideas of insecurity, just because the framing of what you're allowing yourself to do has changed, shows us that a creative framing is all we need to transcend an all too static state of being. It helps assist us traverse around any trauma. To have the ability to change, and to change without judgment, puts our lives in peaceful motion. Change to break ideology. Change to break ideology. Think. If you have a solidified idea of yourself, it only allows for more negative perceptions to bleed into your worldview. You're making yourself stuck in a safety net of perception that only increases your vulnerability to harm and offense because you don't have perspective agility. You need a myriad of selves to battle the fragility of time. Without this abundance, you're more likely to imprison yourself in ideology because you never question why you have the opinions you have, because to question those opinions means to question ourselves. Keep in mind, no idea is final. No idea is final, that our worth goes beyond what we think. Our subjective experience is not reality itself. We are not the conversation. We are not the conversation. We are merely participating in one. Move the pivot of your presence away from the thing you think is you and into this meeting with the world. Scene 4, explain the chaos. I once had a thought, who am I? That quickly triggered another question of, who was the voice that questioned who I was? That made the next thought of, well, if the person who questions my questions isn't transparent to my current self, then who can I have any trust in the experience of? How can I trust myself? Now not only did I have the original, who am I, but additionally I had the question of, where am I? Where is the true self in the mess of all these voices? I knew then that I am not my thoughts, for we do not know where the thinking comes from. But how do we find the man beyond the thoughts? Where do we live beyond the thinking?
Well, I hate to break it to you, but you live in the world, so come outside and meet the world. Whoever you think you are, alone in that room making YouTube videos, is not going to survive the test of time. There is no self that will survive a real conversation. There is no collective idea of the self that will keep its identity if the conversation is within the world, because our subjective beliefs always need to interact with the reality on shared terms. So go out the house and go meet friends, go skateboard with them. That's it. That's if you have friends to skateboard with, of course. You need to enter the adventure that is your life, but that journey only takes place within the liminal space between you and I. Experiencing something other than yourself is the only place where astonishing things happen. The perspective that dodges a conversation with reality makes you think, I am alone, I thought, and they are everybody. However, when you engage with the conversational nature of reality, you realize everything is everything, and that statement includes me and the community that is me across time. So stop projecting and go experiencing something new outside of yourself, and stop thinking about yourself, or at least, please, just start a new thought.
When you can sense the end, don't be afraid to start again. The world keeps itself forever young by going through a constant cycle of death and rebirth, just like the creative process. Creativity is chaos. Creativity is the birth of an idea and is also the energy that increases the probability of death. Creativity is therefore aligned with the natural formula of this world. I once had a character say in one of my films, if you die before you die, you won't die when you die. That means if you keep leaning into change through death and rebirth of an idea, we can make our lives a living proof that we went beyond rigid definition and transcended and contradicted an all too solidified state of being. We can say we weren't just a person who lived, but a person who was a myriad of ideas, an embodiment of an interconnectedness that is at the essence of this universe, a person who expressed themselves as if they truly believed they were connected to everything that surrounded them, a person who didn't shy away from the ideas such as oneness or God, because they knew that to limit themselves from an idea of beauty higher than their own mortality would be to not commit an intellectual suicide upon their own ego, a death we all need to commit to, a death we can all be proud of. We should aim to be a person who knows that even the atheist needs to journey into the unknown in order to retrieve the fact that we can lean on our future self as a means of support, that we live within the knowledge that for most of time we haven't been living. But we mock that cosmic joke by seizing this day. We are the people who do not fear death or failure because we know that we can start again. That if we wrote a script and gave it to a man who reads scripts and that man said they liked it but that we needed to rewrite it, we would be able to respond, yeah, of course, I'll rewrite the script. I'm happy to, because I have no fear in starting all over again. See you next week for another video. With love.